What's up guys, welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. Today we're going to be talking about Noctis. This card is just not okay. It's one of those commanders you keep reading over and over again, thinking you're missing something, like there's a limiting factor somewhere, and then you just read the card and it's not there. I see where they tried to balance it, but we're going to talk about today how that doesn't balance the card at all and how it's very easy to get past what they tried to balance this card with. So go ahead and click that whatnot link, get your free $15. Also, you can get 10% off all of your Tolarian library proxies whenever you use code DT4D. Now let's get right into it. Noctis is going to be in your Esper colors, so right out of the gate we have a very strong color pairing. He's only 4 CMC, so that's also good. He has lifelink, and then he has this broken ability that allows you to cast artifact cards from your graveyard. Now you do have to pay 3 life whenever you do this, and additionally they are going to enter with a finality counter. But again, we can easily get rid of both of those limiting factors, and that's what we're going to talk about along with the broken combos people are going to try to pull off with this guy right after today's video sponsor. Today's video sponsor is Ye Old Lasersmith. This is a small Etsy shop that just makes cool stuff. It's a wife and husband that again just make cool deck boxes and other things, and they're allowing me to run a promotion on one of their really cool deck boxes. I literally thought, hey, more people need to know about this deck box just because of how cool it is. This is 2 years old and I've had it and it's held up amazingly. I use it all the time, and since Tarkir just came out, get this for your dragon decks. It's going to be amazing. You're going to get 10% off whenever you use code DECKTECH. There's multiple colors and you're going to end up with something that's super unique and awesome at the same time. Everybody asks me about this and it's super cool, especially when you get to open it, the mouth opens, you slam your deck in there and then the mouth closes. It's just really fun. Again, the name of the shop is Ye Old Lasersmith. I'm going to leave a link in the description that automatically applies the code, and additionally I'll leave a link in the pinned comments down below. The first thing that came to mind that was super powerful with this guy was free artifacts that sacrifice themselves for mana. So now we're able to generate mana. The only problem is that finality counter. So if we cast something like a Lotus Petal that costs 0 mana and sacrifices itself to add 1 mana to our mana pool, we're only going to get to do that once because the finality counter makes us instantly exile the Lotus Petal. But whenever we play a card like Solemnity that says counters can't be put on artifacts and creatures, enchantments, or lands, that completely gets rid of the finality counter altogether, and now all we're doing is paying 3 life to reanimate a Lotus Petal or a Lion-Eye Diamond. Lion-Eye Diamond, this one's free as well, but you sacrifice it to add 3 mana to your mana pool. The only problem is you have to discard your entire hand whenever you sacrifice this, which honestly isn't terrible with our commander. The next thing we have to get over is the 3 life per cast, right? Because honestly, we'll eventually kill ourselves with LED and Lion-Eye Diamond. So the next thing we need to include is Aetherflux Reservoir. This is going to allow us to gain increasingly more life for each spell we cast. So as long as we cast 1 spell, we gain 1 life, and then the next spell we cast, we gain 2 life, and the next spell 3 life, and after that, we're able to generate as much life as we want, and our commander no longer has a downside with Solemnity and Aetherflux Reservoir on the battlefield. Additionally, Aetherflux Reservoir allows us to just pay 50 life and then dome somebody in the head for 50 damage. So it's also our win con. So now, boom, we have a 3-card combo we can pull off very easily. The only thing I still wanted was another artifact. You know, Solemnity is cool, but it's an enchantment. So we have to find an enchantment and then try to go off, which is not hard in Esper colors, but I want an artifact. That way we can cast everything from the graveyard. So Hex Parasite is the next best thing and does something very similar. For 1 mana, you get an artifact creature insect that has an ability that's X in it for Rexian. Remove up to X counters from target permanent. For each counter removed this way, Hex Parasite gets +1 until end of turn. This is going to be perfect because yes, we have to spend 1 mana to get rid of the initial finality counter, but after that, the LED and Lotus Petal will be able to pay for themselves to get rid of the finality counter. And again, that allows us to gain infinite life with Aetherflux Reservoir and dome everybody. But we haven't gotten to the most powerful thing we can do with this commander yet, so stay tuned. Another thing we can use is Displacer Kitten. Let's say we have 2 artifacts in our graveyard that both cost 0 CMC. Now we're able to cast 1 for 0 CMC, then cast the other one, and when we do that, we blink the one that was previously cast with Displacer Kitten, and then whenever you blink it and it re-enters the battlefield, it will not have the finality counter on it. Then you can sacrifice the Lotus Petal, cast the Lotus Petal, blink the LED, then you can sacrifice the LED, cast the LED, blink the Lotus Petal, boom, we're able to get rid of the whole finality counter issue with another card. I think what's going to make this strategy so consistent is the new card that was unbanned, Gifts Ungiven, and a card that's already legal, Intuition. Let's read both of those. Gifts Ungiven is 4 CMC, 3 generic, and 1 blue that says search your library for up to 4 cards with different names, reveal them, and then one of your opponents is going to choose 2 of those to go into the graveyard and 2 of those to go into your hand. This is going to be very easily, since we're running on 3 card combos here. All we have to grab is our LED, our Hex Parasite, and our Aetherflux Reservoir, and boom, we have all of our combo in our graveyard and we're able to cast it with our commander. Kind of busted here. Intuition does exactly the same thing, but it's 3 cards instead of 4, and again, we're completely fine with that because we're only running on 3 card combos here. We're also not stuck to this win condition, right? Because if they get rid of Aetherflux Reservoir, you just can't win the game. So you can actually pivot to other combos that use artifacts that don't need us to cast cards from our graveyard. We can use Helm of Awakening and Sensei's Divining Top. Helm of Awakening is a 2 CMC artifact that says spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Sensei's Divining Top is a 1 CMC artifact that says pay 1, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order, or you can tap Sensei's Divining Top to put Sensei's Divining Top on top of its owner's library and then draw a card. What's really powerful here is if we pair that with a Crystal Skull that allows us to play cards from the top of our library, specifically artifact cards, or a Mystic Forge that again allows us to play artifact cards from the top of our library, we can just draw our entire deck. From there, all you have to do is drop a Thassa's Oracle and you win the game. Notably, all of these are 3 card combos, so you can find them with Intuition, you can find them with Gifts Ungiven, and if we do it this route, we don't have to keep casting spells from our graveyard. It's just going to be 3 life for each spell, so you'll need 9 total life to cast Sensei's Divining Top, Helm of Awakening, and Crystal Skull or Mystic Forge, and that's going to only cost you a total of 5 CMC. 2 generic for the Helm of Awakening, Sensei's Divining Top is free, and then Crystal Skull or Mystic Forge is only going to be 3 CMC. So you're winning the game for 5 CMC and you have 2 tutor cards that put your win con directly into your graveyard. That's cEDH potential, everybody. Especially when we're in one of the most strongest control colors, we have access to all the powerful cards like Rhystic Study, we have Esper Sentinel. I know I normally cover casual decks on this channel, but this is definitely going to be one of those decks where you're going to have to tell your playgroup, I promise it's not that deck, because this is going to have a that deck almost guaranteed day 1. This deck also has access to pretty powerful flash enablers like Shimmer Mirror for 3 CMC and Liberator for 3 CMC. One's a mirror that has flash and says artifact spells you cast have flash. Additionally, Liberator kind of says the same thing. It says you may cast colorless spells or artifact spells as though they had flash. Liberator also grows, but we don't care about that here. We just care about winning over top of our opponents, and this deck is going to be able to do that. And there's also just insane value plays. Like we could easily play something like a Krark Clan Ironworks and then an Everflowing Well. The Everflowing Well has an ability that says whenever it enters the battlefield, we get to mill 2 cards and then draw 2 cards. Mill is kind of like card advantage in this deck, so you're kind of just drawing 4 cards here. And then Krark Clan Ironworks allows us to sacrifice our artifacts to add 2 mana to our mana pool. So now we can kind of get into scenarios where as long as we have Krark Clan Ironworks, Everflowing Well, and then maybe, I don't know, Displacer Kitten and a Mana Rock on the battlefield, we can kind of just mill our entire library as well. Again, we're paying life for this, but you'd pay 3 life to draw 4 cards, and all of these cards are just very synergistic in the deck. And whenever you have a deck that plays a lot of synergistic cards that are really broken, whenever you put them together that result in you drawing your entire deck, you get a super powerful commander, and I think that's what this guy is. So let me know what your ideas for this guy are in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys think this is going to see EDH play, because I definitely see the potential here and it looks pretty gross.